right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Anchor and Ascend podcast with me, your host, Angela Papa. I am so excited for today's guest, Sonia Petecka. And yeah, take it away. Introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much. My name is Sonia, and I am a mindset coach, and I use human design as well as subconscious reprogramming with PSYCH-K in my coaching to help people live really authentic lives and help them heal trauma and program empowering beliefs so that they can really create the change and transformation they're looking for, and create their magical lives. Because when one of us does that, we show others what's possible and we create a ripple effect, and that's how we uplift the consciousness of the world. So yeah.
Beautifully said. So the first question I always ask my guests, and you might have just touched on it a bit, but what is your mission in the world?
So my mission is really to help people heal and become more conscious and aware so that, they experience more joy and freedom in their life, so that they remember their divinity, their connection to source, so that they can trust themselves and their guidance, their intuition, so that we can leave behind some of that heavy energy and create a new world really based on love and truth, and really help people create their dream lives from a space of ease and joy and fun. So yeah.
Beautiful. I feel like we have very similar missions. It's probably why we connected immediately when we met.
Right.
We met, so everyone doesn't know, we met last March, so almost a year ago. At I don't know if it was technically light club yet, but at a light club, I guess you could call it retreat. And we just connected like right away. We were going grocery shopping. We were like having psychic conversations without even speaking. It was great.
Yeah. We ended up sharing a room, and it was a really fun time. My first time interacting with Tony Robbins content, really.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was fun.
Yeah. So I know you are a human design reader. So can you, just maybe some of my listeners don't know what human design is. So can you go into, what human design is, and your experience with it?
Sure. So human design really tells you about your authentic self. So, when we're born, we're living our design, but then we pick up all these messages from the world of how we should be in order to be successful and loved and accepted. And some of these messages, a lot of them, are not aligned with our design. So really learning about your design is coming back to that authenticity underneath all the programming and conditioning. So it really tells you a lot of things: how to use your energy more effectively. It teaches you how to use your unique flavor of intuition, how to make the right decisions for yourself. It teaches you about your gifts and superpowers and the talents you have so that you can live your purpose more fully. So it's based on your date, time, and place of birth. And it's a combination of different systems, including the chakra system, astrology, the I Ching, Kabbalah, and astrophysics. And basically it's about the subatomic particles, neutrinos, coming from the sun that condition us at the time of our birth. And it can also be framed as genetic, our genetic expression. So how we're designed to be in this world, what our soul wanted us to express in this lifetime. So it's really the science of the aura, using the aura correctly, exchanging energy correctly with the world so that we have more energy and that we can eliminate some of that resistance and experience more flow so that the things that are right for us begin to flow to us. So really so the first and most important thing about your design is your energy type. So like you're a projector, I'm a manifesting generator. So mastering that creates the biggest shift. And it includes your strategy, which the strategy gets your aura, the 3 feet around you, ready for things you enjoy to come in. So it's really about clearing out the debris from the aura, the conditioning, the programming, and making space for the things you want to come in. So yeah, the strategy, like for me, it's to respond as a manifesting generator. And then for you, it's to be invited or wait for an invitation as a projector. And so that's the most important part of your design. The second most important part is your authority. So your unique flavor of intuition, how you're meant to make the right decisions for yourself. And then the third one is the profile, which is kind of like your personality, you know, the difference of how you're perceived by others and who you feel yourself to be, how you interact with others, how you learn. And actually, Angela and I share the same profile. We're both a 3-5. But yeah, so her authority is splenic. So that means that she, you know, makes decisions based on like quick intuitive hits from the spleen, and the spleen is all about survival. So survival instinct and, you know, survival fears. And my authority, my unique flavor of intuition is the sacral. So, so anyway, so yeah, I wanted to also talk a little bit about, because like all that is well and good, but how does it actually help you, right?
Right. Yeah. Like,
So,
how can you integrate it? How can you actually like use it in your life to bring you into more flow and, you know, in your highest alignment?
Yeah, so, you know, since I learned about human design, it's been 4 years that I've been using it with, well, myself and with my clients. So really, I mean, at first I was just learning it because it gave me so much freedom. So when I learned that I was a manifesting generator, well, before I learned that I was a manifesting generator, I had all this judgment about myself that, you know, I was very non-linear and I was changing directions in my career. I had this idea that I had to pick one thing and stick to it for the rest of my life. And I was like, I thought there was something wrong with me, that I couldn't do that. And I had all these different passions and, you know, and couldn't seem to, was just like moving very quickly through life. And I thought that, you know, I needed to commit to one thing and that's it. So, you know, so when I learned that I'm a manifesting generator and that I'm meant to be multi-passionate and kind of combine these different tools into something new, even though like I don't know how they're all going to fit together, like looking forward, I knew I just had to like trust my excitement and the expansive feeling in my body, that sacral authority, and trust that it would all make sense looking back. So it was, yeah, it was really a lot of relief and realizing that I'm designed perfectly and that I, you know, the things that I thought were wrong about me are actually the way I'm supposed to be. So that was a huge lesson. And the second most important lesson was really learning to listen to my intuition and listening to that expansive feeling in my body and being present in my body, because we're all so in our heads and trying to make the logical decision and overthinking and analyzing, and really human design is meant to bring us back into the body, into the wisdom of the body, being present in the body with what it's telling us. So and yeah, I will talk later about psychk, how that provided another layer to that. And yeah, and then, you know, the 3-5 profile, which I want to talk about because it's both of us, you know, it's like the 3-5 is very likable and relatable and very human. So we learn through trial and error.
Oh yeah.
And it's sometimes, yeah, it's a lot of like highs and lows, and it's messy and it's a roller coaster. And it just feels like we don't have control, but like we're kind of here to teach ourselves and others that we're not supposed to have control, and that we're meant to share our experience as we're going through something, you know, and share the messiness, and that it's not always all, you know, it's easy to share once you have a wrapped up in a bow, and
Right.
you're like, okay, this is the lesson. But when you're like
Yeah.
crying and all that, but like our lives are interesting to other people and inspiring to them as we're sharing what we're going through. So, and anyone can relate to us. So it's really like our message is very impersonal.
Mm.
So yeah. And then the last thing I wanted to mention about my design, and it's actually the same for you, is being non-specific and non-strategic. So really we're taught that we need to have a strategy, we need a plan. But for us, it's really more, it's not like we have to know the specific thing we want in order to manifest. It's more like, instead of grabbing the thing you want, you have an open palm and you're manifesting what's in the highest good. You're just focusing more generally on the feeling you want to manifest, and just taking the next aligned action. And yeah, so anyways, those were some like huge ahas. There are many more, but yeah, so those were big lessons for me. And then realizing also, your incarnation cross is kind of your purpose or theme in this lifetime. And for me, it's to provoke with consciousness and provoke talent, leadership, purpose, and spirit in others, which really resonates with me. So I'm here to trigger people, which is fun.
We love that. We love that. We need it.
Right.
Yeah. Just learning about my design. I know I had a human design training from you this past summer, and it was just like you said, like it made me feel like so much better about all the ways that I thought I was wrong, right? Like I thought it was wrong for me to be tired after working for a couple hours. And then I find out like, oh, projectors, like it's like an 8-hour workday and they can do like 3-4 hours of work. Like that's how they work. And that was huge for me. Especially, starting my career out in the corporate space in that way where you're like, work 8 hours, work 10 hours, work overtime and produce. And it never felt right for me. And it was always super draining for me. And it was just kind of like that I'm not wrong for like feeling this way. You know what I mean? I would always be like, oh, maybe I'm lazy. Like I'd put myself down for all of the ways that I just naturally am, because the people around me aren't, and society tells me like that's not okay. And just like learning my design, I was like, wow. So all these nudges of how I want to live my life naturally is how I'm actually supposed to live it, right? And it was just like it made me feel so much more in alignment, really. Like I was like, okay, like this is my truest alignment, and it doesn't matter what the person next to me is doing, because they probably have a completely different profile, completely different life, right? And I think part of the culture that we live in, especially with like Instagram and social media, it's like we compare ourselves to others. Like, well, that person's doing this, that person's producing all this, that person's working this much, but we don't know like what their design is, right? Human design, astrology, all the ways, like we're all such unique people. And I feel like human design is just like a permission slip for you to be truly yourself, like unapologetically, and to like follow, the way that works for you, follow your own flow. So that was my experience with it. I was like, all right, I guess I am in alignment. I guess I was never wrong for feeling this way. I guess I was never wrong for having this be like my method,
Yeah, no, that's a huge lesson, because we're all taught that we're supposed to do things a certain way, but realizing like different things work for different people. Like some people are meant to have a routine, some people are not, but we're all like, we all need a morning routine. Or, just the old rules of manifesting, like you have to be disciplined and, consistent and strategic and, all these things. But really, in 2027, we're entering the new paradigm in human design. And it's really the old rules, the old institutions are falling away. And we're already seeing it in this transition time. And it's like, we're going to be able to manifest without, these rules that we've been indoctrinated with. So yeah,
very interesting. I didn't know like human design was able to like look at like current day stuff and like,
oh yeah.
Interesting. So it's kind of like astrology in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so it's very exciting because we're really seeing this transition, and it's all about, yeah, creating our dream lives while enjoying our lives at the same time, which in the old world, it's like, no, you have to suffer and struggle, and then you get to get there. But yeah, it's really realizing that the way there needs to be enjoyable, because that's right, alignment. So
Yeah. And
yeah.
like, you don't need to wait till you retire to live your dream life either, right? Like, I feel like that was totally old paradigm. Our parents' generation, our grandparents' generation, like, you get to live
Mm,
your dream life once you work hard, you make your way to the top, then you know, get a nice pension, and then you retire, and then you go travel and live your life. And our generation's kind
yeah.
of like, no, F that. Like, we are going to start living our dream lives now. And it's just so interesting that all of these different tools and systems are, you know, really prevalent right now to allow us to all know ourselves on that deeper level and kind of give ourselves that permission slip and to start actually like living the life that we've always dreamed of living now. It's like
Mm,
age doesn't matter. Like, you don't need to wait. Like, we have the
yeah.
tools and the capabilities to start living the way we want to live.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's really exciting. And and actually, because I lost my job almost 2 years ago, actually.
Mm.
And it was the biggest blessing, because I was like, I didn't enjoy what I was doing, but I was too scared to leave. And I was like asking the universe for guidance. I'm like, I'm too scared to leave. Like, I don't know what to do, but I'm not happy. I was living in Seattle back then. It was a completely different life. And yeah, and so I got let go, and the universe kind of arranged it all perfectly. So knowing that we have all the support around us and we don't need to figure it all out on our own. And
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and then I still had like a lot of resistance. I was like looking for jobs, because I knew I had my coaching business since 2015, and then I found human design in 2018. But I was still like, I don't know, I didn't believe in myself enough to just dedicate myself fully to my coaching. And also, I had some big decisions to make in 2020, like leaving
Mm-hmm.
Seattle, leaving my romantic relationship, after finding out it's not really aligned. So, and after that, actually, I don't know, this is coming up to share right now. After that, I was in Poland, my home country, which I left when I was 16. And I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll move back to Poland. But I got there, and it became clear that I didn't want to move back. And I was like, I need to go back to the US, but I don't know where I'm going to go. So again, I had all this uncertainty. And then I got a clear sign, and that's, a synchronicity. And that's kind of how the sacral authority often communicates with us. And I got this sign on Instagram. I saw this ecstatic dance event that people I was following through, like, also coincidences, right? Quote unquote, different synchronicities. They were all at this event. And my soul was like, oh, I want to do that too. I want to dance under the stars and
Yeah.
outside. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll book an Airbnb and go to Miami. So yeah, that was kind of a crazy, but like, I had to know how to listen to my intuition and not question it in order to do that. So yeah.
Right. And you were following your design, and it got you to where you are now. So that was actually one of my questions. So this is a good segue. So I know you live in Miami, beautiful, beautiful Miami, right? Where it's always like probably never below 75 degrees. The sun's always shining, turquoise waters. I'm not jealous or
Yeah.
anything. So yeah, this is a good segue. Like, tell me how you were able to like really manifest your dream life. You know, you left Seattle, you followed that intuitive ping, you booked the flight, booked the Airbnb, and yeah, how are you able to like how are you in this life that you dreamed of now?
Well, it was really a lot of trust, like, I kept leaning into trust, and really accepting that I didn't need to have a plan, again, coming back to the non-strategic thing. really asking God or the universe or source for help, my higher self for help and for guidance. And, obviously doing a lot of meditation. And yeah, I guess, I think that was it pretty much.
Yeah. No, exactly.
And then, yeah, once I came to Miami, things also started accelerating. And I met all these people through different synchronicities right away. The founder of Light Club, Patrick, who I believe is also going to be on your podcast.
Recording him after this one.
And yeah, and then, also I started doing, I'm sorry about that. I started A Course in Miracles again. So I had done it years ago, but that was a huge element of really coming back to letting go of fear and leaning into love and choosing that loving perspective. So, and choosing that trust. So, and then also getting deeper into my breathwork practice. Like, I had been a Kundalini yoga and meditation teacher for many years, but really like committing to a daily breathwork practice, like the 3-part breath through the mouth, has been huge for me, and really like, allowed me to raise my vibration that so much that people are now like, oh my gosh, you're like a different person than you were just like last May. So that's been huge. And then discovering subconscious reprogramming and psychk, that was in August, and that was also a crazy kind of, I was guided to its story. So yeah, just following my excitement, following, what my soul felt was the right thing. And yeah, and I'm just noticing so many more synchronicities as I keep going with this. So
yeah, and I think as humans, like we want to know the whole plan, right? We want like the 10-step plan. All right, I do this, and then I do this, and I do this, and then I'm going to be here, right? And I think your story is just a beautiful testament that like sometimes we only just know the next step. Sometimes we only just know like what we're being guided to in this moment. We just need to follow the intuition, follow our joy, follow our excitement in this moment. And then from that moment, the next thing's presented. And from that moment, the next thing presented, right? And then all of a sudden you look back, a year goes by, you're like, wow, I'm living in a completely different reality. And I never knew the steps. I never knew the whole route there, but I trusted and I listened and I surrendered. And I think that is so huge, just in the journey of really becoming the person you always wanted to become and living the life that you always wanted to live. But the human mind always wants to know exactly how. And it's just like, you got to leave some room for magic,
Yeah.
And I think your story is a beautiful testament to that. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a real, like, for me, the journey has been from the head into the heart the whole way, because I was raised so focused on the intellect and, and it was always about education. And I was pre-med in college. My family really wanted me to go to medical school. I was a biochem major. And French literature. I mean, I like both.
Oh boy.
But yeah. But then I realized I was like studying for the MCAT, and I realized I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, why am I doing this? This is not exciting. And anyway, ended up getting my MBA, but it was still like, very in the head. So it's not like I was always woo-woo. I also want to mention that because, I think it's important that you can change, and you can take that journey from the head to the heart, and, it's never too late to change directions. Yeah, so
yeah,
that came through.
Well, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So let's dive into psychk now. I'm really excited about this conversation. So yeah, let us know what PSYCH-K is, your experience with it. And also, like, I know it just kind of like fell on your lap, right?
Yeah, that was a crazy story. So I had heard about PSYCH-K a few years ago from my human design teacher, Jenna Zoe. I did my reader training with her, and she had mentioned it, but I had no idea what it was. And then one of my friends mentioned it this last August 2021. And she wanted me to come to Taos, New Mexico, where the founder was doing his workshop. And I was like, I don't really want to go to New Mexico. I don't know. It just didn't feel aligned. But I was on their email list, and and then one night, Wednesday midnight, almost Thursday, I get an email from them about their online workshops. And I was like, well, I'm going to just check out their workshops. And there was one starting like Friday, so basically a day away in Fort Lauderdale, which is, less than an hour from Miami. So, and my soul was like, you have to be there. I didn't really know much about it. I had never done it with anyone. My friend told me a little bit about it, but my soul was like, you need to be there. So I did the basic, after which you can do it with yourself and with people in person. And then the next weekend they were offering advanced, which is which you learn additional tools, and then you can do it over distance, so over Zoom, through surrogation, through a process called surrogation, where you connect to the other person's subconscious. So I should mention that the PSYCH-K uses muscle testing. So yeah, if we're in person, I'm actually like pushing down your arm and testing, whether your subconscious believes a statement. For example, like, I trust myself, right? We test if it's strong, your subconscious believes it. If it's weak, it doesn't believe it. And then we can program that belief.
So does the muscle like twitch or something?
So when you're saying something that's true, your muscle is able to hold it. So like, if I test, my name is Sonia, that's strong. But if I say my name is Tom, like, it tests weak. So it's, so that's how it works. So basically, and I had to actually program, like, I trust myself with muscle testing, because in the beginning I'm like, I don't know, is it strong, is it weak? So I had to program the belief that I trusted myself. So that's a huge one for a lot of us. And so yeah, you can work on goal statements or beliefs, or you can also work on stressful situations, like any trauma from the past, things you're currently stressed about, so that you achieve more peace around this situation. And you can, take any actions necessary and respond more resourcefully to that. But basically, the goal of this process that we go through, the process is called the balance, and there are different balances, is to balance both the hemispheres of your brain so that they're talking to each other, so that you're whole brained about a statement or a situation. So that's kind of how it works. And the reason why the subconscious is so much more powerful is that, it comprises at least 95% of our consciousness, with our conscious mind only being 1 to 5%. So that's why it's so important to work on the subconscious level. And it can process thousands of events at a time. So even reprogramming a simple statement like, I trust myself, or a specific traumatic situation, in a few seconds, it can reprogram all these related statements and events. That's why the change can happen so quickly. So yeah, it has really transformed my life, and I've seen it, up level my clients' lives. So, and it's only been like not even that long. That's really amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've just noticed such a shift in you ever since you started the PSYCH-K. It's very noticeable.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So it's basically just like a subconscious clearing and reprogramming tool.
Yeah. And it works. Yeah, it works very quickly. It's super simple. And yeah, we can do it over Zoom, and we always check if it's safe and appropriate to surrogate someone, and if it's safe and appropriate to reprogram a specific belief or situation. So we always get permission from the super conscious. And but yeah, it requires, because in the beginning you're like, is this real? Can change really happen that quickly and that easily? But literally, it's the most fun, enjoyable way to change that I've found. And even our instructor said he's been through like all the ayahuasca journeys and Osho constellation healing, but this is just yeah, the most pleasant way to shift and change.
And quick too.
Right.
So
right. You got to experience it. So.
Yeah. So you guys, it was wild. Like, I really didn't know what to expect. I've heard of PSYCH-K before. I saw that Sonia's been doing it lately. But I like had no idea what to expect. And of course, like one of my like biggest, darkest like demons in my life came up to be cleared, but I wasn't even like expecting, right? And it was wild when she was reprogramming. It was over Zoom. I'm right outside of Philadelphia. She's in Miami. We are not really close, and it actually like really worked. When she told me to like bring up the limiting belief or stressful situation or trauma, I felt all of the feelings in my body that I felt in the moment when it was occurring years ago. I felt like, and it was interesting. I felt at first like nauseous, and then I felt like really tight. And then I felt like someone was sitting on my chest, right? During the part where you're just basically like reprogramming. And then all of a sudden it just stopped. And I just felt light. It was like someone like just removed like a big heavy weight from my body. I think I literally said like, that was wild. Like I don't know what I was expecting, but it was crazy. Like embodiment coach, I'm very much in the body. The body changes that I've noticed, nervous system changes that I noticed just in like a matter of minutes was insane. I just felt so much lighter after. And the goal statement is basically what you reprogram the new belief to be. And before, when I would say this belief, like I would be like, nah, right? Like I wouldn't really feel it. And now I can say it with like ease. Like I trust myself with money. It's easy. And I don't feel like a weird feeling in my stomach anymore. Like, and it's just insane how a few minutes in with this work can reprogram something that you've been carrying around for years and years and years. Right. So
yeah.
Thank you for like doing this work and for sharing it with the world. It's super powerful because we don't realize how much our subconscious governs our day-to-day, right? I think I saw something on Instagram, and it was a picture of like a glacier, and the top of the glacier that you see on top of the water, it's like, this is the conscious mind. It's like a tiny little thing. And then you see underneath the water, and it's this huge, monstrous rest of the glacier. And like, this is the subconscious. And it's so true. It's so true. We don't realize how much it's, running the show behind the scenes. And how, maybe something that happened to us years ago is still affecting us. So it's a beautiful tool. It is a fast tool. It is an effective tool. So I highly recommend if anyone is interested to go to Sonia and book a session, because I was like speechless.
Oh, yeah, no, I love doing it too, because I can feel the energy shift, and I can feel people shift, and people can experience, different visuals, and some people just feel peace. So, it really varies person to person, but it's always, an uplifting experience for me. So it's really the thing that I like doing the most right now and brings me the most joy. But also it's like, now I'm realizing like how all the tools that I've practiced throughout the years, like the human design, like I start with human design with all my clients so that I can really help them identify, their authentic selves, their gifts, their talents, but also any conditioning they picked up. And then, we can reprogram those limiting beliefs with psychk or anything that's stopping them from really living their fullest expression and living their most joyful life. And then, support them with mindset coaching. I use an app called Voxer, so that I really like having that near real-time support instead of having to wait for a call. Like, calls are great for psychk, even though you don't really need the calls. Like, once you trust me to reprogram your beliefs, I can actually just surrogate you and do it, for you.
Oh, really? Without someone doing all like the crossing the arms and something?
Well, yeah,
okay.
So no, I mean, I surrogate them and I would do that for them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, because you always check if it's safe and appropriate. You always get permission. So there's no manipulation, right, going on, because people are like, oh, maybe you can like use it for whatever purposes. But yeah.
No, we're up to light here, people. We're up to light.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, so anyway, I love supporting my clients in Voxer because it's more real time. I know, like, when I used to, do coaching with other people and even therapy, I was like, well, by the time the session would roll around, I'm like, I kind of resolved this. I'm like, I kind of need help like day by day. So yeah, and I've been really like enjoying recording my own breath work. And sharing that with people, because it's been so powerful for me. And obviously, like, each person, different things work for different people, right? Like in your design. But those are just the most effective tools that have worked for me. And then, I can customize what each person needs and what they actually enjoy doing, because, we have this idea also that growth has to be hard, but what if it can be easy? And that's why, even when we reprogram with psychk, even when we reprogram a belief or a situation, I ask you for a next aligned, easy action that you can take to kind of ground it for your conscious mind. Just like that small little thing, even if it's, going for a walk or taking a bath, that can help you kind of get the process started, and make it real for your conscious mind and integrate it into your daily life. So. So I don't know, I went on a tangent, but I'm just basically, like, now I'm seeing how all the tools and passions are fitting together. So I'm really creating this something new as a manifesting generator out of all the things that I've been excited about. So.
Right. Yeah. And then that just shows again, like, you didn't know how it was all going to come together. You didn't even know like really much that you were even going to be into psychk, and like you just kept following your intuition, following the signs, and everything just started to fall into place. And now you're like, oh wait, this actually all really works perfectly together.
Right.
So it's, again, like, we're so supported by the universe if we just like allow and surrender and open up to it and follow our intuition, follow the signs. So yeah. So people can get a human design reading with you. They can also get a psychk reading with you, or they can do coaching with you where they basically get
all of
access to all of it, right?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of different, techniques I use in addition to those. But yeah, basically my 4-month program, we start with a human design reading. It's 1 hour over Zoom. You get the recording, you get the write-up, so you can keep referring back to it, because it's like a lot of people just get a human design reading, but if you just get a human design reading and you never really implement it, or you just, I mean, it's cool to know, but it's like you really need to live it. So that's why I recommend that people get support after and coaching after the human design reading. So anyway, 1 hour over Zoom, and then we connect every week for 1 hour for psychk/coaching, and then in between over Voxer, the voice messaging app, for any immediate support. And you get my breath work, my journaling prompts. I have journaling prompts for your design, for your morning, to start your day off right, if you're meant to have a routine and be consistent. So I really customize the coaching to your design. Like, for example, if you're non-specific, non-strategic, I'm not going to make you write your vision in very specific terms. I'm going to have you focus more on the feelings you want to manifest and just the next aligned action You know, like if you're non-specific, non-strategic, it's probably not great to like make a whole vision board, because it can actually like stress you out to add all these specifics. So yeah,
it
really
literally
customized.
does. It does stress me out, I have to tell you.
Me too. I know people used to tell me, they're like, well, if you don't know exactly what you want, how are you going to manifest it? And you have to be crystal clear on what you want in order to manifest. I'm like, that doesn't work for me. It's actually like when I just kind of relax, and like then the universe kind of sends me things that are better than what I actually could have even imagined. So
Yeah.
so it's so funny how, yeah, we receive all this messaging, and especially, and we feel bad. We're like, well, why can't I come up with all the specifics? Why does it stress me out? Like, what's wrong with me?
Right, exactly. Like, don't get me wrong, I have some specific things like I know I want from my life, right? Like, not very like very specific, but like a general idea. But besides that, just like, yeah, focus on the feeling. And that is actually
Yeah,
like the number one way to manifest, is when you focus on the feeling state that you want to be feeling, right? Because then you
yeah.
do open yourself up to all possibilities, and not just like this one narrow thing, like, oh, it has to be this way. I can get this feeling
Mhm.
from this thing and it's going to be like this. Like, again, leave room for the magic, like leave room for the universe to provide you with something even greater than that.
Yeah, but we want the control. I mean, it's a daily practice
Yeah.
of letting go of the control. I mean, even for me, I just, recently the theme has been coming up about how much I'm in my masculine, and it's really for me coming back to the feminine and being and receiving and being more in my heart and less in my head. There's always another layer, and that's why also, doing psychk over a longer period of time, it reveals all these new layers of things to reprogram. So that's really cool to watch people go through as well. So yeah, it's always evolving, because we think like, oh, well, once we're like healed, there's no more, then I always had this idea when I signed up for my Kundalini yoga teacher training. It's like, okay, after this, I'm going to be enlightened and my life will be easy. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
and then I went through like deep depression, and had to figure out how to heal myself and all that. Like I got more depressed during the training, and I went off birth control, and there were a lot of factors contributing to that. But yeah, it's just realizing that there's always going to be another layer of growth, and that's okay, because if we're done, then we're dead.
Right. Yeah. Like, there's no
So,
plateau. There's no end game, right? Like, you just keep going higher. You get to the next stop. We're like, oh wait, there's another one up there. Let's go there. Let's go there. Right. Like, and then there's the ebbs
mm,
and flows of life too, right? Like, not everything is going to
mm,
be 100% all the time. You're not always going to be the happiest person in the world all the time. But like, that's just the way life is. The ebbs and flows, and constantly evolving, constantly growing, and finding the support that you need in order to do that, because we're really not meant to do this work alone. We're not meant
right.
to heal alone. We're not meant to up level alone, whether that's hiring a coach like Sonia, whether that's finding a community of like-minded humans to support you along the way. Like, it really does take a village. And I know that
Mm,
was something that I had to come to terms with, because I was like, I'm Aries, so I'm like very independent. So I'm like, no, I can do this on my own. I'm just gonna like figure it all out. And like, I didn't really get anywhere. I would get like a little
mm,
bit somewhere, but then like I would like have a hard time like getting over like a certain like feeling or emotion, or like like getting
mm,
to the up leveling area. And it's like, we need our teachers, we need our mentors, we need our support system. Um, so if anyone out
yeah.
there listening is stubborn like I was when I was in the beginning of my journey, just don't keep yourself in like a stagnant space, because that's what it
Mm,
does. Like, really allow yourself to receive that support, right? Feminine,
mm,
and then that's a feminine energetic receiving, instead of like the pushing and trying to do it all yourself, masculine. So yeah, I
mm.
don't know why that just came through, so maybe someone had to hear that.
No, for sure. And I think it's so crucial, especially if like we've grown up in families that weren't very supportive. We need people to believe in us
Hmm.
and keep reminding us of our power, and reminding us that it's possible for us. I remember I had a friend and a coach in Seattle. And when I was telling her, you know, I don't like my corporate job. And she's like, well, you can start doing like human design readings. And I was like, I can never make money doing that. Like, but she kept believing in me. And it was just so like, I'm so grateful for that. And someone to just, yeah, bring you back to your power and your purpose, and remind you who you are, because you're a divine being. And
yes.
and yeah, we keep ourselves so small by being like, oh yeah, it's just little me, and I'm, you know.
Sometimes it takes that mirror. That was the same thing for me when I started my crystal jewelry business, when I was in college, when I started, you know, actually charging for astrology readings. It was, I like never thought like I made a shitty necklace when I was a senior in college. First time I ever like got into crystals, like wrapped, like this necklace was horrible looking, right? Like I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Wore it to my, what was I? Oh, a server. I was a server at the time. Wore it to my serving job. And my table offered me $50 for the necklace off my neck. And I was like, this? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, well, you can't have it. Like, it's mine. But then they're like, well, you need to start like creating jewelry, like do an Etsy shop. And like, you know, lo and behold, I still have the Etsy shop to this day. And like the astrology thing, like I was following what lit me up. I found myself just like meeting people like, okay, can I have your birth time, date, place? I like was just like, I have an app on my phone that like does the calculation. I was looking at the chart. They're like, what are you looking at? Because the chart looks crazy, right? And I'm like giving them a whole reading, and they're like, can I pay you? I'm like, pay me? Like, no, I want to do this. Like, it's fun. Right. And then eventually someone was like, no, like, why are you need to get paid for this? Like, that's like, people pay for astrology readings. This is like, that's a thing. Like, people do this. I'm like, really? Can I actually make money off of it? And here I am today, astrologer, you know, getting paid for doing readings, you know, and I literally did not think that was possible until someone like held up that mirror and saw that in me and believed in me and almost like gave me that little push and like showed me like, no, this is possible. So that's why like support, friends, mirrors they're everything on the journey of evolution.
Yeah, no, it's, and you know, the entrepreneurial journey is not, you know, it goes against a lot of the security we're taught we need to have, you know, the paycheck and even the health insurance and just the whole structure. So you do, you definitely need support and other people, and especially as women, you know, collaboration versus competition, like really stepping into that collaborative energy and supporting each other is so huge. I just hosted a retreat last weekend, and that was really amazing to see women show up for each other and support each other and love each other and empower each other. Like that's beautiful, and I think that's where we're moving, rather than that competitive. And it still comes up, like I have to be very aware. It's like, but she's doing this, and you know, it's like, no, the comparison, like and we can all win. It's like we can we can all win, like, because we're all unique and we have different things to contribute, and there's unlimited abundance, even though we're taught that, you know, you have to get yours. And if, you know, so yeah, reprogramming that whole mindset is also key.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, sacred sisterhood is really on the rise, and, you know, helping your fellow sister rise, and, you know, the collaborating and supporting each other, instead of, you know, the way maybe like the old like high school view, like of like being catty and trying to like rip each other down, right? And like comparing, like to this day, I still find myself comparing myself to others. It's, you know, it's almost like a knee-jerk reaction, right? And then I'm like, okay, no, take a step back. Like, you know, like there is infinite abundance for everybody, and there is room for everyone in the playing field, right? Like there's no pedestals, no one's better than anyone else. It's like just showing love and support for your fellow sisters. And like, that's how we really change that narrative, you know, that's how we really change. That's how we change it for the generations to come as well, right? Like, it's like, we're like putting the stake in the ground. Like, no, we're not going to act like this anymore. You know, our parents did, our grandparents did, but our generation's like, no, like we're actually going to love and support each other and trust that there is enough abundance for everybody, you know, and instead of, you know, that kind of like catty, competitive way of thinking that was bestowed down on us from previous generations.
Yeah, there's so much relief in that. There is. Like, you know, and that's kind of how I, you know, identify the empowering beliefs that I want. I'm like, does that feel like relief, you know, even with like healing your body, like does believing that, you know, my body is weak and broken and, you know, needs help from the outside to heal, like, does that give me a feeling of relief, or is it that like my body knows what to do and it can heal itself and that I trust my body? And, you know, it's like, that's been like a huge thing for me. It's like, which thought or belief gives me relief, and how can I, you know, because a lot of our reality is so determined by our beliefs,
100%.
and even our bodies, right? Like what we experience in our bodies is related to that. So yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, I feel like I used to have horrible body image issues, and the more I started to love myself and accept myself and actually see like the beauty in myself, I actually physically started to see changes in my appearance, right? Like it's crazy how powerful our beliefs are, right? Like it's insane. Like it can change like physical structures in your life. So that's why I like work like psychk, work like, you know, transformational work is just it's so important in this day and age where we're really just trying to create a new earth, create a new reality for ourselves. One that's based on love and connection and freedom and abundance and pleasure, joy, all the things, right? It's kind of like that promised golden age that we're creating, you know, and no one's gonna like hand it to us on a silver platter. No one's like, all right, here you go. Earth's great, life's great. Like, no, like it takes the inner work. It takes, you know, looking at your subconscious. It takes healing. It takes all the things. It takes work. It takes practice. But, you know, once you really commit to that, you really commit to your most liberated, abundant, joyful life. And then we can all start living that together.
Yeah. No, and that's so interesting. You know, I choose to believe, because often people are like, oh, I'm getting old or whatever. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I get younger every day. And like,
same. Oh my gosh, same, literally. I literally feel like I look younger all the time. Like I feel like I'm just going backwards.
Yeah, and life gets to get better. And, you know, so just letting go of those limiting beliefs that society has put on us to keep us small and keep us from realizing our own power to really heal ourselves. And yeah, so I'm very passionate about that.
So am I. I'm all about, you know, rewriting your story and choosing the reality you want to live in and actually living in that reality, and not being a victim to circumstances or beliefs or what happened in the past, right? And just really taking empowerment, really like taking the power back in your own hands.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this. This was an amazing conversation. I know that I learned a lot from you in the past around human design and psychk, and I'm just so grateful for your friendship. So thank you so much for coming on. How can people reach you?
So I'm at Sonia Petecka on Instagram. So I'm sure it will be in the show notes. But
it will be.
SoniaPetecka. And my website is also soniapetecka.com. And TikTok, Sonia Petecka. So
you're on the TikTok? There. Good for you.
Yes,
I can't bring myself to do it yet.
Well, I had so much resistance to it. It's so funny because, you know, people kept telling me to do breath work for a long time, and I had so much resistance to that. Like the word triggered me. So I was like, I guess I need to do this. And then the same thing happened with TikTok. Everyone kept telling me I need to do TikToks. And, you know, I had a lot of resistance, but then I kind of decided to just be playful about it and try it. And I mean, it's, you know, I'm doing it when I feel inspired, and I'm not putting the pressure of like having to produce the perfect TikTok. Just, you know, trial and error, see what happens.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you for that permission slip again, because I've been feeling the call to do it as well. And I'm like, like I did it and I like posted one, and I was like, oh my God, I feel like 15. Like, don't like the young kids do this. Anyway, that was a total tangent. So thank you so much for coming on. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope you all have an amazing day or night or whatever time it is that you might be listening to this episode. And I will see you again on the next episode of Anchor and Ascend. Bye.
Bye.